Hello, everyone. Welcome to Based. I am joined today with some striking young lads, SabotageBeats, Witty Crypto, and KarbonBased. We're going to be discussing censorship. We're going to be discussing deplatforming, and we're going to be discussing the perils of shitposting in the modern era of cringe crypto Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it. So I'm going to let everyone do a little introduction themselves. Let's start with Sab there.
Hey, what's up? This is SabotageBeats. I am SabotageBeats on Twitter, and I'm a dog on the internet.
Nice. Witty?
Yeah, it's Witty. Just mediocre DJ, professional shit poster on CT. Try to do my best to keep it light out there when shit starts getting heavy, and do everything I can to get Carbon to like my tweets.
Well, I guess that leads up to Carbon introducing himself.
Hello, my name is KarbonBased. Most of the people listening to this probably are already familiar with me in some regards, I'm sure.
Indeed.
That's
my introduction.
Well, so thank you guys for coming on. I know you had a lot of better things to do. So did most people. So, like I said, we wanted to kind of get on the topic of, talking about censorship techniques and things like that are used. And, we've all been victims of the maxis trying to suppress us in one way or another, or just in general, people who disagree with our viewpoints. And, one of the problems with that in this space is that, or on Twitter especially, is getting someone suspended is fairly easy to do. And, it kind of sucks, as that is pretty much one of the better ways of reaching people who are involved in cryptocurrency and things like that. And actually, for a lot of people who may or may not know, crypto or Twitter actually has some of the better privacy guards when it comes to the operational security, because they scrub all the data and things like that. So, Carbon, do you want to kind of talk about some of the censorship tactics employed against you?
Sure. Many of you would maybe know, but I posted a meme which the subject of this meme did not take well. And as a result, I was hit with a bunch of fraudulent DMCA notices from posting photoshops, memes, based on other, even just screenshots of tweets. I got DMCA notices for, and I was sent this barrage of notices over the course of a few days from some complete chop shop in the Middle East, fake company that does DMCA for hire. And as a result, my account was suspended December 31st of last year. And I had an attorney who was an anonymous person in the space who sent counter notices, but I've not been able to retrieve my account. So essentially, these people are all about censorship, resistance, and blah, blah, blah. It's all just fucking talking points until their feelings are hurt. And then their actions speak a lot louder than their words. And I think we've seen that in other things recently this week. Maybe, I don't know if some people are just waking up to the fact that all these people are massive hypocrites.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you take a look at even what they're doing with the INX and things like that. Some of the same people who literally were talking about never promoting KYC services are also some of the same people who deployed censorship tactics to you. I mean, a matter of fact, Mr. Samson Mowell, who the target, or not target, but who may or may not be the person that was behind the DMCA strikes against you, quite literally is also involved in that same shenanigans. It becomes funny because, the meme you posted, Gym Friend, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of it. If they're not, they've been hiding under a rock. But, you know, because it still gets referenced today, you know, like, you know, about
Yeah.
Jim. And so, you know, it's comes to me with these great, you know, misunderstandings of people, and just like I tweeted or was on a stream earlier today about talking about this stuff, they deploy these tactics to suppress it. And I mean, ultimately, and you can probably confirm this because you actually have met Jim Friend on another stream with Colin Enstrad.
I did.
Yeah, and so that was beautiful, by the way, that you guys were like, cool, he's down to earth guy, but like the whole thing really got blown out of proportion, and all that resulted was you being damaged as far as not having your primary account.
Not really.
Not really.
I mean, no, that's the thing, right? I mean, so yeah, I would prefer to have my account and my handle, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. But I have my new account, and I'm building my following back. I'm probably more well known because of the fact that I had to get suspended over a meme with fraudulent takedown notices. Whereas the subject of this meme will never live that down. I'll always get the replies in this comment. So if we're looking at who really got damaged out of this thing, it's not me.
Yeah, you're right.
I was gonna say, I was just noticing the other day that you know, because what are you at, like 2,000 or something now?
25 something.
Yeah, you're getting engagement like you have 10 to 15,000.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like a tweet that I could see someone that has the same amount of followers as you in the 2,500 range would maybe get 20 likes. You know, you're getting 200-300 at a time. So, like you said, I think what it comes down to, honestly, is it's not the total number of followers; it's the quality engagement that you get. Like, you find good followers that actually engage with you, which is much more important.
For sure, and all those same people that engaged with my old account are finding or have found my new account. So,
Well, that's
And I
good. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think it was more of like, honestly, like Streisand effect, where, you know, Mao tried to shut it down and whoever else teamed up with him to try to shut it down with these DMCA bullshit. And it just kind of blew it up even harder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's always a risk you take, right? Like you said, the Streisand effect. Like, once you try to suppress things from people, like, typically, you know, the internet doesn't take kindly to you taking things down. I mean, you know, another famous thing about this would be the birth of Anonymous, right? Like, you had Church of Scientology take down the video, and guess what happened? Like, literally, a bunch of betards decided to, fuck it, we're taking on Scientology, and what happened? You know what I mean? Like, literally, that's kind of how that fell down. So, you know, it's always this weird thing to me to see as being a hacker and programmer and everything else, is that you see this shift in things where people are, like Carbon had mentioned, people claim to be about censorship resistance. They claim about not taking and deploying these techniques, but yet they'll do it on the first time it's something they don't agree with, right? Like, there were times when Samson and them would engage with Carbon's memes where they even liked them and stuff or talked about them. And then it was kind of ironic, as soon as it gets turned to them, they're like, oh my God, I'm so upset I got a DMCA. I mean, hell, me and Carbon are friends, and he still should post about me when it's available. I mean, a dunk's a dunk, you know? Like, and if it's good and you're good enough friends, why not? You know, so, and you know, I know that everyone in this little roundtable right now, it literally has been the subject of it. You know what I'm saying? So, Sav, you want to go, SabotageBeats, you want to go over some of the stuff that's happened to you and Cringe Twitter, some of the techniques deployed against you?
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, I don't think I've ever been like permanently suspended, where I was suspended and then got my account back. I think I got suspended one time for 24 hours, where I couldn't log into Twitter for 24 hours. And then I've also been I don't really check whether I'm shadow banned or not, but one time I got or maybe 2 or 3 times actually, I got like a notification that, you know, only people who follow me will see my tweets or something. And I think, you know, sometimes I think it's like for a lot of words, I think it's like keyword based. I notice a lot of people get banned or shut down when they use certain keywords that are like hot button Twitter topics, like homophobic slurs or whatever. One of the newer ones is using the word idiot is considered like anti-disabled people, and so using the word idiot in the wrong context can get you like insta banned or insta timeout or whatever. And for me, it was more like kind of, how can I say it? Maybe more like a little bit of intimidation, where it was like memes were being posted with my profile pic being shot and murdered and bleeding out, and then and then later it was like maybe like a year later it was like, oh, this guy's still talking about that shit, like let's try to get him to shut the fuck up, and oh yeah, it was a joke, we were just kidding, and all this kind of shit. Like, whereas at the time it didn't seem like they were kidding too much, you know what I mean? And at this point, I've just kind of given up on Twitter as any sort of censorship-free platform. I mean, really, the reality of it is it's a third-party managed service where they definitely, like, Twitter as a company has been cracked down a bunch of times, and it has a terms of service, and you're supposed to abide by that terms of service. And at this point, it's like, if you really want to be censorship resistant, you probably shouldn't be using Twitter as a platform. And I think that's the case probably for everybody on Twitter. And an interesting thing that I kind of want to look at also is, or maybe talk about also, is other platforms that claim to be anti-censorship. Like one good example is like Gab, right? So Gab is supposed to be like a platform where people can spread whatever ideas that might get you banned off Twitter or whatever, but it's like it's also a third-party managed service that has a terms of service, and whether or not they say they'll kick you off at this point, or whether or not they're kicking people off at this point, it's like only a matter of time until whatever service gets big enough. As long as it's not completely decentralized, it's a weak point, And so another example is there's a social media cryptocurrency that's like the social media part is in the cloud and the cryptocurrency part is decentralized, sort of, I guess you could say.
Sort of.
And I mean, yeah, as much as a super shitcoin can be, I guess. But really what it is that the social media lives in the cloud, and then the coin is a clone of Litecoin. So you have a coin that is sort of centralized or decentralized in that way that it's like mined and stuff, but at the same time, all the social media part of it is all centralized in a cloud with a TOS and with a third party managing it. And so at a certain point, if that social media dies because of the company shuts it down, or if the company kicks you off or whatever, yeah, sure, maybe you can send your coins outside of it with the client, but you still, it's not censorship resistant, because the entire point of censorship resistant social media, in my eye, would be to be able to post and have no one take it down. So I mean, I think at a certain point, it's like, well, if you're not using something that's decentralized for this, then you just kind of got to roll with it, because that's how these platforms work.
Oh yeah.
And I, just kind of something, you got to take the good with the bad. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of people from cryptocurrencies and stuff on here, and a bunch of smart people and a lot of good information. But at the same time, it's like, if you're going around saying shit that's going to get you kicked off the terms of service, you're going to get kicked off eventually. And that's just kind of something you can fight against it somewhat, but at some point you got to accept that Twitter is a third party service managed by a tech giant that has a terms of service.
Yeah, and what I always find funny right now, and I'm going to get a little political on this, is all these people are like, let's take down the billionaires as they post on someone's platform that made billionaires. And
yeah, right.
And I literally just kind of find that ironic. And then, like going on to like note, like censorship resistance services have been around for a long time. Like I've told people use RetroShare, use BitMessage, use Mastodon, like they exist. And like what happens is these people don't want to use them because there's not the user base. And I get that. But like there's compromise to be had. If you really want something to stick out and to stay, you're going to have to use one of those services because literally you're controlling it, not anyone else. And, that's almost kind of counter to some of the cryptocurrency people. They're like, what do you mean I got to run something to keep my content active? Like, well, yeah, it's just like running a node of any kind. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes this thing where people have to really understand that distributed networks are designed to be distributed because everyone's a participant who's on the network, right? It doesn't work because once you start offsetting, to ownership or to relying on someone else to provide, endpoints or throughput, that kind of shit, what you do is you literally open up the door for someone to censor. I mean, it's just how it works. And so, going on to your point there, like, and I can say this for sure. I know, Sir Whitty there has gotten in a little bit of trouble for using a key hot word a few months back. I believe it started with a C.
Yeah.
Care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I made one. Yeah, that was fucking ridiculous. I posted something. I didn't even try to make fun of anything. Well, I guess I kind of did in a sense. I posted a picture of my gym because I'm fortunate enough to have a shed on my property that we're just over the years of lifting weights and being into physical fitness, I've just accumulated a bunch of equipment. So when the pandemic hit, I just cracked a joke. I took a picture of my gym, so I was kind of proud of it. And I said, hey, anybody that wants to work out, more than welcome to come work out. You just got to, show me a positive COVID test result. Hit fucking tweet within I'm not even joking. The moment, what's crazy is they fucking posted the tweet, and then within a half a nanosecond, I was booted, and I lost my account for a month and a half.
Oh my god!
And I the funny part was, I started creating these other alt accounts. But they were like, no, that phone number is already associated with another account. You can't use that. It was, I guess, because they had banned that account. So they weren't allowing me to create new accounts with the same phone number. So I tried my email address. And I had an alt account that had my two email addresses. Or I had two different accounts that had my email address, which they had kicked me out of the other one too. Because I can't even remember what I got reported for on my alt. But somebody got me banned there. I haven't even gone back to look at that one, actually. I gave up on that. But they weren't allowing me to create another alt account. So I literally, this is the most embarrassing thing. I had to use my son's phone number to create an alt account just so I could interact, because I've actually made a bunch of really good friends out here the last 2.5 years. CT, while can be maddening and forces me every month or so to have to take a break because I eventually get to a point where I want to strangle people, is also gotten me in touch with some people that I consider to be very good friends. So I wanted to have that alt account. So I literally had to go to my 16-year-old son and go, hey, I need you to do me a favor. Put your phone number in here. And then when you get the code, I need you to put it in. He's looking at me like, you got a problem, Dad. So anyway, it took me a month and a half of, working with them through their help tickets and shit. And they were like, okay, this should work. And then it wouldn't work. And then they finally came to me and said, we are so sorry. We had this algorithm at the time. And I guess it swept up a bunch of people because Nick Nasty, same thing happened to her. She got... The same day, she used the same word. She used COVID, and she got booted, and I think she lost hers for over a month as well. My biggest problem has probably been getting shadow banned, because the content that I'm posting with the degens can really get under the skin of people that don't have a sense of humor. And so I'm not saying that our sense of humor is for everyone out there. I get that. Like, I know, look, I'm blocked a lot.
So is everybody in this group. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
me, Carbon, you, and SabotageBeats are pretty much blocked by a lot of people.
Yeah, we were talking about how Whitty was saying earlier before, like when we were doing sound check, how he's blocked by people he doesn't even know. He looks at an account and he's like, "Who the fuck is this person that I'm blocked?" I have that same experience all the time, so I totally know what you mean, man.
It's fucking crazy. Somebody will tag me in a tweet like, "Ha ha, check this out, Whitty," and I can't see it. I'm blocked, and then I go to look at the person. I'm like, never. What's crazy is it's really shown me just how big CT is. I've been out here for over 2.5 years, and just how many people are on in our little, I guess it's not little, in the community of CT, because I'm like, who the fuck is this? I've never even heard their name, and somehow, some way, I offended them. So yeah, I get shadow banned a lot. I use that one link, that you can use to check if you're shadow banned, and it's quite often that I see that. And a lot of times I get it because I get reported, because I'll go after thoughts. I've kind of cleaned up my timeline. I've cleaned up my timeline pretty well, so I'm not really seeing them much anymore, but I was getting reported there too. I actually had one woman, me and Thinking USD, and I think it was Blackout. I can't remember, but she actually had said that we incited sexual violence against women on her thread.
Jesus.
So,
Oh my god.
well, just because we were kind of calling her out, for
Yeah.
being, for being who she was, and so anyway, yeah, I've definitely dealt with my fair share of.
I mean, I get that
That
point. Like, when I've gotten shadow banned or I get suspended, which is actually more often than I let on, because I'll be blunt with you, like last summer, September, me and Carbon were talking several times. I was getting suspended for calling Bitcoin software. I got suspended one time for asking someone if they knew what void meant in C++ when they claimed to be a C++ dev. Let's see. I've gotten.
I'm trying to think what they when they reported you, what button they clicked that reports you for asking them what void means. It's the C++. Dude.
That's ridiculous.
To be clear about that one, look, I am a C++ dev, and I had every right to report you for that.
Hey, what's funny is that, literally, me and Carbon, this was during the bit block boom thing or whatever. We all kept getting reported because we were kind of trolling on Pierre. Carbon caught shit on that one, the fetal alcohol syndrome meme that went around. Which, by the way, that was pristine work, young man, pristine.
Thank you.
And it became this thing where everybody was kind of doing their trolling, and we had people like Brecky and others that were getting really aggravated at the fact that we were mocking the cringe. I mean, honestly though, think about it outside of all of this, right? It's software. At a normal software convention, which I can confirm that at least 3 of the 4 people on this chat have been to several, nobody does this shit. Nobody rallies around like a religious sanction around MySQL or MariaDB or Postgres or Node or any of this to the extent that they post the cringe that this little sphere posts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I disagree. There's the Vim versus Emacs.
Well, that's different. Well, hold on. That's a religion. Hold on. That was a religious flame war that started on some forums and Usenet in the 90s. That's more or less. I mean, but it's more or less just poking fun at the fact that you have the hardcore, POSIX Unix people, which typically use VI, and then you have the hardcore, Nix fans, which are Linux FreeBSD clones and BSD clones who will use Emacs. And so there's a stark difference between that in the sense that, yeah, it's a heated battle, but it's always a heated battle over technical prowess. It's never a heated battle because my number go up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. it's almost like saying, well, my God's better than your God, right? Like that's essentially what goes on right now in this space, and it's fucking ridiculous because, if you poke fun at them, they get upset about it. But then if you make a joke saying they sound like Jehovah's Witnesses, they also get upset. So there's that.
Well, you attach monetary value to a software, and then people get real defensive because their number go down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess number go down is one problem, but also like, going back to the censorship aspect of it, right? Like Bitcoiners are supposed to champion censorship resistance and anti-KYC methods and all these things. Yet literally the mass majority of them supported, people like Carbon being deplatformed, the crypto deleted bot being deplatformed by Jameson Lopp, who reached out to one of his friends at Twitter to help get that going. You know what I'm saying? Like that was...
I love that.
Well, while he was doing that and trying to get the bot suspended, during that time, I remember Sabotage saw, and I know Carbon saw, I fucking figured out how to send an image over CB radio in the same amount of time it took him to get the bot deplatformed, which to my knowledge had not been done, so there's that. I mean, I took that and just made a positive out of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think this comes back to another point, right? Like we were talking about earlier, whereas like, we're all using this. Okay, we're all using cryptocurrency in order to kind of, take the power away from the government. I mean, yeah, there's number go up, but what's the real root behind it is to empower yourself and kind of, take power of money away from state and kind of that whole deal, right? And no KYC thing is a part of that, and it's all kind of a part of this, I guess you could call it like crypto libertarian mindset, where cypherpunk mindset, where it's like I want to have the power over my own computers and be autonomous over my with censorship resistance and privacy, right? But meanwhile, everyone's using Twitter to correspond, and then, like you said earlier, there's network effect, which is why people won't use these third-party platforms or these other platforms which are censorship resistant and are decentralized. And then the reality of it is, well, if you just use the fucking platform, then there would be a network effect. Yes. So it's a chicken and an egg problem, right? Like I won't use this platform because there's not people I want to talk to there. So then I'm not there. So when people want to talk to me, I'm not there for them to talk to there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that goes back, though, to like take a look at considering that Signal, right? Signal is a prime example of this. Signal is a wonderful platform. I think that most everyone in this group probably use Signal.
I've got to disagree with you.
Okay.
I think the signal to noise ratio wasn't right.
Jesus. Okay, Carbon.
On Signal or on Twitter?
On Signal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too much signal, not enough noise.
Yes. what I was getting at is that,
for my taste, at least. For my taste.
Well, what I was getting at is you take a look at Signal versus Telegram, right? Telegram is a centralized shit show. Yeah, it's got, people prefer Telegram over Signal because they get these groups and invites and stuff. You can do the same, similar stuff with Signal. But Signal actually, protects the privacy of all the people involved, things like that. And it's crazy because I have some people, and I'm not going to say their names on this, that aren't in this particular talk, but they are hardcore cypherpunks on the internet, or claim to be, and then they won't even use Signal. And I'm like, well, why not? And they're like, well, just SMS me, or what's the better one? Just send me a Gmail, bro. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, where's your public key? And they're like, what? I'm like, where's your GPG key? And they're like, oh, I don't have one. I'm like, oh my God. How can you be, into the cypherpunk movement without even starting off with having a GPG key? You know what I mean? Like, And so, like, for myself, when I see this and then we look at the censorship aspects of it, I mean, Mastodon's a great product, right? Like, as far as what it does, but, like, nobody uses Mastodon.
Right.
Nobody uses Mastodon. Like, I've been to Mastodon a few times, and, like, we actually had a request for Cyberpunk Labs to do some like Mastodon instances for people, right? And I'm just like, but nobody uses Mastodon, like at all.
Yeah, I think the biggest Mastodon use case was when FOSTA SESTA thing happened and Backpage got shut down and all that stuff, and a lot of sex workers moved from there into Mastodon, and then because Mastodon is federated, it's centralized down to the federation. Like, it's not centralized as a network. And so then what they did is they just came in and they shut down the sex worker Mastodon, and then all the sex workers got replatformed again, and it was just like, oh fuck, it's the same shit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, like, that's kind of the problem, right? Is, you know, there are ways of creating communication channels that do not involve or that can go permissionless. You know, one of the persons in chat right now, Curveshifter, wrote a great tool. It actually uses a blockchain effectively to do something nefarious. Could be conceived as nefarious, but you know, he wrote Burst Chat, which uses a blockchain and how a memory pool works to do ephemeral chat messages and encrypts them, so there's no way of detecting who's communicating to who unless they're actually watching the memory pool, right? So there are tools out there. There are privatized services. There are chats that are truly distributed. The problem is like we were talking about, the user base isn't there, and the reason the user base isn't there is because onboarding for some of these services, it can be very hard, right? So like, you know, you try to make it as simple as possible. You try to make things where people understand them. But like, I'm gonna be honest with you, you know, we okay, I'm gonna throw some shade at Peter McCormick, our friend here, okay?
Which I just found out. Didn't even realize he blocked me.
Okay.
And I don't even know what the fuck I did. He actually followed me at one point, and you know, when the whole thing went down between him and Carbon, I don't even think I did anything but just like some shit and maybe throw in a laughing emoji because the shit was pretty funny.
It was.
But I guess that was enough to get blocked. So, but anyway, I'm sorry.
It's okay. What I was going to say is, you know, you take a look at Bitcoin Core, right? It is on Mac, Linux, and Windows as simple of an installation as fucking possible, okay? I mean, it is quite simple. You literally load the Qt app and it just works, right? You double click it, it starts. He runs Mac. And I'm dead serious, okay? Everybody on this channel has ran Bitcoin Core. Everyone on this channel knows how easy it is to run Bitcoin Core. Whether it's on Mac, Linux, or whatever, it doesn't even matter. It's fucking point and click. You know this, right? Everybody knows. He, for years, could not figure out how to get a node to run. And
on a Mac.
Yeah, on a Mac, dude. By the way, which the onboarding process is, you just simply go to bitcoin.org, you download, and you double-click the Qt app, and it asks you where you want to store shit. And that's it. You're done. I mean,
man, watching him catch shit for that was fucking beautiful. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I mean, but like when you start breaking that down, right? If you're talking about one of the quote figureheads in this space who can't even do this, imagine trying to explain it to someone who listens to this person, and in their head they have visualized that this person is part of a revolution of doing things, yet is the first one to report you, because he's reported me. I can confirm, because there was no other engagement on the tweet, and I got reported. It's a wild guess here, and so what I'm getting at is that, like, literally the counter to the narrative and the counter to what was supposed to go on, if we can't make it simple enough that these people can figure it out, but yet they speak so authoritative on it, right? That should really open the eyes of the people who may be listening to this show, which ultimately right now is not many, but the people who will follow up, listen, things like that, it'll increase. And what I hope they learn from this is that they start to understand that these people who think that they are an authoritative source for information are not, you know, and that's so critical for us to fix that narrative. I mean, Carbon had pointed that out numerous times last summer, and even over the winter and stuff before his account got banned on his main. And he literally was trying to shed some light into that, and people got angry, you know, and people still get angry to this day when you tell the t-shirt peddling maxis that you don't understand how confirmations even work. So why the fuck are you trying to talk to me about whether or not a node does synchronization and how, you know, you can limit what peers are being bootstrapped, that kind of thing. You know, it's amazing how quickly they are experts, quote unquote, but yet, you know, I can tell you right now, definitively from knowing Carbon, that he knows more about Bitcoin than 99% of the maxis. And I could prove it, and he can too. And that's the sad part. The sad part is the very, quote, champions of their little censorship bubble, right? And even recently, Mao has started talking on Twitter where, you know, only people he wants to respond can, which I find that feature on Twitter to be shit. Carbon, your thoughts on that?
On what? I'm sorry.
On the feature that Twitter now, you can choose who can respond and who can't.
Well, you know, it's like anything else. Recent features that they've added on Twitter say a lot more about the people that use them than they are effective. So they're pretty effective in that perspective because you can really spot someone based on them censoring who can reply or hiding messages or hiding replies. I mean, you know, I would never use these features because I don't see a point.
Yeah.
And I think they're counterproductive. But I don't really consider it censorship. I do think it's a really good idea for platforms to give users more control. I actually prefer that method. It's like, you know, give all the users all the censorship tools and then don't let anyone get banned.
Ooh, I like that. I like that approach.
Like, everyone should be able to craft their own little circle. It's like, yeah, block's a great feature, mute's a great feature, you know, add more. Start building more features like that. Let people craft their bubble the way they want, but you know, leave the people that don't want to be censored out of it. That's
I really enjoy that.
I don't really care or think that those are bad tools. Like nobody can reply or whatever. It's like, let the people that want to use it. Sure, they're scared of replies. That's all it says about them. But I would never use it.
So I've been using that feature to troll a little bit.
Of course.
So
Shocking.
Yeah,
I'm so shocked right now.
Post some inflammatory shit and then be like, oh yeah, reply to this if you disagree, and then don't allow replies.
Well, I mean, that's to be given, right? Like, I mean, I personally am a huge fan of, in terminal cipher, you're right, echo, the selective replies does create the echo chamber. I literally do not use any of those features. I rarely mute people. I think I have only blocked 2 people on Twitter, one of which was doing nothing more than just spamming some token under every tweet that I made. So I eventually blocked them so they could stop, right? And it was a bot, so that account later got banned. But I prefer, you know, not having to mute people because I actually genuinely, even if I don't like someone, I still like to see what they got to say. You know, from time to time, if it shows up in my timeline, I'll engage with it if it's something that interests me, right? Like even people I normally wouldn't care even exist, you know, I still from time to time do quite enjoy their content showing up to see, you know, if they've changed maybe how they stand on something, you know what I'm saying? And to me that's just how I operate. And I know not everybody's like that, but that's just how I look at that.
Yeah, I think I've done what Carbon was talking about through like mute and some people that I've blocked kind of create. It's not necessarily an echo chamber because I actually have people from the left all the way over to the right, some extreme left, some extreme right. And I've gotten some shit from friends of mine, like, you know, how could you follow so-and-so? How could you interact with so-and-so? And, you know, what I block and mute is stupid shit. So I don't mind people expressing opinions that are different than mine. You know, at my age, my views and the way that I see things have changed over the years. And so I understand and appreciate the fact that other people can bring perspectives that might change the way that I've looked at something. over time. Now, I was raised in a very liberal household, and so all the way up through my teens and 20s, and even probably somewhat into my early 30s, I was pretty liberal. Now, liberals now are probably a little bit more extreme than they were back when I was 20s, 30s, but what I've allowed myself to do is interact with people that lean right or far right, because it allows me to engage in a conversation that could maybe, have me change the way I see things. And I have. And so what I've done is I've definitely not created an echo chamber. I don't believe in those things. I think as human beings, it doesn't allow for growth from like an emotional IQ standpoint, maturity, so on and so forth, like the way you see the world. So I've caught shit because there are some people that I follow and interact with that are considered racists, out on CT. And I've said two things. Is one, that not everything that they post is, something that would be considered maybe ignorant or something like that. But at the other time, in other ways, I've been able to engage them in ways that, what I found with some of these people is that they're open to hearing other points of views, and the way that I engage people, like the name calling and the fucking, going after each other, that shit doesn't solve a fucking thing. Like, it immediately shuts down any possibility for either side to be able to hear the other person's opinion and maybe make an adjustment in the way that they think. And so I do the best I can to engage people. Most of the times I'm just shit posting and keeping it light, but there are times that I get pulled into more serious topics, and I try to make sure that I'm letting the individual know that I'm trying to digest what they're saying and understand it. And I don't do any kind of name calling, because their life and the way that they've either been raised or experiences that they've had have molded the way that they see the world. And I can't deny that or, downplay it as being stupid. I have to appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think by showing that respect, but continuing to engage, I've actually gotten some people to be like, all right, that's a good point. I never really looked at it that way. So I use mute and block to really create my timeline so that it's both a mixture of funny with my boys that, I like to be stupid with, but then also people that don't necessarily have the same views as me, so that I don't have an echo chamber, so that I can continue to grow or engage with people that, I'm almost 46, right? And so some people I'm engaging with are in their 20s. So some of it's not just for me to make a change, but maybe I see some things in there where I could maybe like get them to look at the world a little bit differently, so that we don't just have a bunch of people running around on both extremes. Because the more that shit happens, the more we're going to have a lot of the debacles we're having right now. But I do like what Carbon said about, allow people to kind of create their own experience individually, open up all those things to them so that they can create that. My only concern would be, don't create that echo chamber of just people that are going to be blowing smoke up your ass and telling you what you want to hear, because you won't grow. And even though we shouldn't really be looking at CT as a place to grow from a maturity standpoint, we all, honestly, if you think about it, we all are out here every day in a big fucking chat room. People are literally logging on in the morning going, good morning. It's like, oh, good morning. It's almost like we're showing up to work and getting our coffee in the kitchen. Oh, hey, Steve, nice to see you. How was your day? You know what I'm saying? So it kind of is like that. And we, the relationships that have been made out here, it is somewhat of I don't know, that's the way I see it anyway. And so there is a chance for growth and some change in the way that you see things. So anyway, I don't know, maybe that made no sense at all. But I do have one thing I have to say. So
what's that?
Carbon, James Barnsley is on listening, and he told me to tell you you're a big, dumb, goofy nerd.
I don't know who that is.
That is the best. That's the best reply you can give to that. He just texted me. He's like, I'm listening. Tell Carbon he's a big, dumb, goofy nerd. So anyway, I did what I was asked, and now I'll let you get back to running your show. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Like I said, the thing is like, I get pulled in a lot. Sabotage and Carbon and others pull me into technical conversations when people are clearly not understanding what's going on. and you know, like I try to shine light to things in a way that is digestible, like, and explain like I'm five as best as I can. But then, you know, for myself, sometimes I do have people telling me that, you know, I don't understand shit, and I can even send them a link to the code, and like they, you know, that's not how it works, kind of thing. And I'm like, you know, I try not to get upset about it, but like sometimes some people just will not. And like for me, my notifications are like not from genuine engagement, just people liking, retweeting or something. But like when I got some asshole spamming me for like 3-4 hours saying the same shit over and over and over, then like for myself, I get upset about it and I just mute them. But you know, like again, going back to all this, right? Like, you know, I've received death threats on Twitter and stuff like that. I've received death threats via Telegram for shit I've said on Twitter. I've gotten a letter in the mail. I've had some people really come after me hardcore about stuff. And, you know, at the same time, James said F, by the way, Carbon, in chat. So, so, you know, for myself, like, Twitter is a way of reaching certain people. And I've made some, you know, I've seen some people grow tremendously in my time of knowing them, both on and off Twitter. And, you know, I can honestly say that, like, you know, it's a good thing, like, to some respect. But then on the other side of it, it's also just a shit show sometimes where, you know, people just want to take out all of the things that are bothering them in their life, and then they want to turn it on to whatever target's easy for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know, like with regards to like, you know, these changes, and all of us have had experiences being suspended and our interactions with Twitter and stuff, you know, it's very cultivating to some level, Woody. Like you said it best, like it's almost like people going to work, but then in some respects, it's also some people are looking for opportunities to take their misery out on others. So you got to kind of watch it very closely, what's going on in the interactions that you do have, you know. And I try to keep, you know, I again don't filter who follows me or anything. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if people want to engage with me or not. If, you know, and I try to be selective sometimes about responding, because there are times, man, when I've gotten tweet responses from somebody at like 1 a.m, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I know if I respond, it's going to be a 3-hour shit show. You ever have one of those experiences? I get those a lot. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know you know Sabotage. You get in those tirades back and forth quite often.
Yeah, you know.
You received death threats too, right? Sabotage?
Well, so it was memes of me, of my profile character, because, you know, I don't share my pictures online. So it's like memes of my profile character being shot and bleeding out and shit. And then it was interesting because I started posting pictures of my guns, and then those people blocked me. So, but and then about a year later, maybe 6 months later, maybe a year later, you know, people would be still bringing it up, and I would talk about it when it was brought up, and then finally, I think it was Scam Hub or Bitcoin Scam Hub, Crypto Scam Hub, who he had made the meme originally, and then I think it was Psychedelic Bart. He was the one who had said that he would release my information and my pictures.
Oh, he's got me blocked too, as a matter of fact.
They just both unblocked me recently, so I don't know what that's about.
So Scam Hub eventually came out, and he was like, "We didn't mean it as an attack. It was a misunderstanding. We were just joking around." And then he eventually actually apologized for posting the meme.
See, that's cool though. He apologized and owned it. Like, you know, I'm sorry. Like, I may not like the guy, but like, if you apologize for something that could be perceived as that, and you kind of own it, and I think that's the right step to some level, especially when you're kind of insinuating like killing someone or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's meant to be humorous.
Yeah, like, so that was just kind of my experience with that. I think it's kind of, And on that note, right, the censorship resistance of Bitcoin and versus it, what the reason that I like, a variety of other coins is partly because at a certain point, by pricing the fees in Bitcoin and those fees, if Bitcoin continues to go up, I mean, even now, people in most of the world can't afford a single Bitcoin transaction.
No.
And so really what we're saying then is, yeah, we believe in censorship resistant for the rich or the early adopters. We don't believe in it for everyone. And that's something that's a problem that I have with a lot of like alt-right 2A people that are like, we believe in in the Second Amendment, but really we only believe in that for like white people or whatever. You know what I mean? I believe the Constitution is for everybody,
Correct.
Regardless of who you are, how rich you are, what skin color you are. Constitutional rights are for everyone, and censorship resistance on cryptocurrencies should also be for everyone in that same vein. And if people don't agree with me, that's fine. That's their opinion. But that's my opinion. That's why I like a variety of other coins other than Bitcoin that may be very similar to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So that's just my personal opinion.
But also, like, the same thing you've seen me say it, and Woody has too, and so is Carbon. Like, again, where's my Apache maximalist, right? It was first. What revolutionized the web. But at the same time, like, Nginx has quickly replaced it in most deployments because it makes sense. It's faster. There's not everything in the kitchen fucking sink in there. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, the lamp stack.
Yeah, lamp. and it becomes this thing where people really don't understand that, like, how silly it is, because they're like, Bitcoin is more than this or more than that. And I'm like, literally, you're confusing the Cypherpunk Manifesto and the digital currency movement with what Bitcoin is, and that's three different things. You know what I mean? Like, and Bitcoin is software that got it right. Yes, it was the first iteration, but as we know, with all software, iterations happen, and what makes sense for one person doesn't make sense for someone else. Like, that's something I've tried to teach people and try to educate people on. But you know what? It'll get you a lot of hate and a lot of flames because, oh, well, Bitcoin is the best. Well, that may be for you, but how the fuck are you going to tell a village that can't even run a fucking street lamp at night that they need to run an ASIC that's going to use 3 times their power consumption per hour that they would use in a year? How are you going to do that? Like, seriously, how? You can't. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, logically. And so, like, going back to censorship, like, we should not be censoring people on what software they use. Only if it doesn't meet the criteria. Like, if it's centralized, they shouldn't be using it, right? Like, we should critique them on that. We should not critique them on whether or not it can be self-sovereign, right? If it's sovereign, then it's sovereign. Like Dogecoin, meme coin is literally sovereign. Litecoin is a sovereign chain. Like Burst, sovereign chain. XMR, sovereign chain. These chains are valuable in the sense that there are communities of people who run them and use them for their transactions of certain types every day or whatever. And that's value add, right? That goes back to promoting censorship resistance, because censorship resistance is not, like, software is never going to have one tool that's a silver bullet, right? I mean, Russ Albright found that out real quick. GPG is a great tool, but if you use the same fucking public key on goddamn Stack Overflows that you use on your login page, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Frosty at Frosty, right? So, like, those of you who aren't familiar, he used the same PGP key to sign on Stack Overflow, which tied him to his LinkedIn and everything that tied him to the Silk Road. So, again, there are things that people don't understand about OPSEC, right? And, like, that's why it's critical. So, like, I tell people, if you use tools, learn to use them correctly. Don't use them incorrectly, because it's like you never use them at all, right? Like, resizing the Tor browser is the most dangerous thing you can do. Because if you resize
your screen size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people can figure out who you are on a network just based on your screen size, that kind of shit, and what retrieving you're doing and stuff like that. And again, because people don't understand this stuff, they just blindly think that these tools are silver bullets. Bitcoin's not a silver bullet. Dogecoin's not a silver bullet. But it may be a good tool for someone to leverage for when they need them. So anyway, I think we're about to wrap this up. Has anybody got anything that they want to say or any questions in chat, anything like that before we close this bad boy down? Everybody gets back to their normal life.
I'm gonna go eat peanut butter after this.
Fuck yeah. Thank you, Carbon. Thank you for coming on, though. I do appreciate you for popping in, man. I really do.
Of course.
I need some. I hope somebody like takes that snippet of what he just said.
I hope somebody does too, like, to be honest with you. It's like 56 minutes in. Somebody's looking for it. There you go. I'm going to go eat peanut butter after this. Sabotage and Woody, I also want to tell you guys thanks for coming on. Like I said, I've been a little swamped working on all of this stuff on the side, and, you know, with Nasher and everything and Cypherpunk Labs. So, like, I do apologize for not being a little more on the up and up on getting some of the invite stuff over, but then most of you I have conversations with on a regular basis, so it's kind of easy.
Nah, it's fine, man. I appreciate you having us on, and it's not a problem at all. I got so much stuff going on in my life. Like, it was fine that, you know, it didn't, like what you said, getting invites out and stuff, it was okay. Don't worry about it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. Anybody in chat got any questions for any of these gentlemen before we close it up? If not, I'm gonna wait one more minute because there's a delay on the stream, and then we're gonna close up shop. In the meantime, follow Witty Crypto on Twitter at Witty_crypto. Follow SabotageBeats. Follow Carbon at Based Carbon. You can find me at Nixops. And yeah, so thanks for coming on, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. And